as much as I enjoy architecture, there isn't even much architecture here. There's mostly darkness and knocked over pews. Why, hello there. Today is day 694 since Elden Ring was first announced at E3 2019, and this is the Elden Wait. And man, what a weekend. Normally, I come into an episode on Monday and I either have a guest or I'm looking for something to sort of kick off the week in a nice way, but the weekend for once has been busy, which means May 1st and May 2nd have both yielded some sort of news or at least rumblings in the community. So calm down, May. And what we have today are a couple things. First, and maybe the most important, is I am wearing my shark shirt. And it is Sunday evening, as I mentioned. I am recording this now in case anything else comes out Monday morning and I need to jump on it. And I was grilling steaks, wearing the shark shirt on my porch. Beautiful weather outside. Real good time, having a nice beer. Beautiful. However, now I get to go and come do this Elden Ring stuff, and it has been a mess. And the first thing I wanted to talk about, well, I'm going to talk about two things today because I can't not talk about either of them. The first, let's dive right into it, is this freaking financial report, which I already talked about. But an article came out, and I'm not even going to show the article because it's from some website called like Tweak Town. I've never heard of, but they were saying this page here is proof that Elden Ring is not coming out in by spring 2022, and it's being delayed further. And I think what really got the ball rolling is Daniel Ahmed, also known as Zuj, on the internet. He is a senior analyst for Nico Partners, looks at the Chinese games market primarily. And he tweeted sort of in support of what I think is a bad article, which makes me think that Zuj didn't really look it over very thoroughly. And I wanted to bring up here why I think Zuj is off base on this, perhaps. And luckily, I have some better financial people with financial backgrounds to help back up on this. But so the whole issue here is that this games section, as I talked about on my last live stream, and I knew when I saw this slide that some people were going to be nervous because the net sales is projected to be down over this fiscal year, anywhere from 11 to 15% down, and the operating profit is also down, anywhere from 34 to 52% down. And but holistically, I felt that this report, and I want to make this clear up front, I'm not arguing that actually this report says Elden Ring is coming out by spring 2022. I'm saying actually I don't think this report gives a definitive direction either way, and we don't need to doomcast because of this report. And so when you do see this, you say, oh, well, profit is down, operating costs are down. And I can see that initial take. But luckily, on Reddit, someone by the name of the user named Aunt Gentleman, who does have a financial background, and they are a financial analyst of sorts, luckily provides some pretty good insight and just at least another take. Because I'm not going to say that, Daniel Ahmed is not a professional who works in like the games industry looking at projections, but just I don't know how much time he spent on it. Holistically, I'm not stupid. The report didn't read that doom and gloom to me, and I just want to bring this up. So, basically this post is looking at a few of the claims And I'm not going to read through the whole post, but I just wanted to bring up a few points. The first claim is that the year-over-year drop in revenue from the gaming segment of Kadokawa means that Elden Ring isn't coming out in fiscal year 22, aka before April 2022. And their comment is, let's look, how abnormal 2021 was. There's COVID, and that there's not stuff coming out because of current delays. And, on top of that, operating costs have increased for Kadokawa. And that's not something that I don't think Aunt Gentleman brings that up here, but the operating costs have increased. Oh, they do. Increased expenses with lower revenue equals less operating profit. It seems to be that they're bringing more people on in the game segment, which is increasing the operating costs without a huge boom. They're gearing up for more things to come out, but they are not coming out yet, or the profits from those is not coming out yet. Let's see. So so another thing is 2021, as they're going through this last financial year, actually saw a boost in sales of like Sekiro and Dark Souls 3 because everyone was at home in 2020, had nothing to do coming into 2021. So there was increase. So that is also part of the reason, like, profits down, just, they're not, they say in the report, they're not selling as many of copies of those repeated purchases of those games. And so that's sort of his first point. Just like none of this necessarily points toward Elden Ring not coming out. Claim number 2 says Kadokawa's explanation of a lower forecast is delayed development of new works, means that Elden Ring isn't releasing in spring 2022 or by fiscal year 2022. While the first claim, as we just covered, is clear misrepresentation of the year-over-year financials. This is what Aunt Gentleman is mostly frustrated with, as far as the take in this article and what Zuj shared. Basically, if they were originally considering Elden Ring to come out earlier in the year, they would of course get more profits. And Kadokawa is not the publisher. They're the parent company of From Software, meaning they're not going to reap as much financial benefit up front anyways. Bamco is taking the biggest risk financially, so of course they are going to take the most money initially back to recoup their costs. And if you are releasing a game right at the end of fiscal year 22, then of course you're not going to have a huge number for that, especially if originally you were thinking, it may actually come out. It may actually come out in October or the summer. If there was hope that it was going to come out earlier and it was pushed, then this would also drive it down, but doesn't necessarily mean it's not coming out by spring 2022. So that is basically that. And I just wanted to present that there. That's someone else. I'll link it in the description, but I think it's a good explanation by someone who's coming from a financial standpoint. And then I will reiterate, they made Elden Ring, sure it's 5 out of 6 for their priorities, but Elden Ring is the only gaming segment thing put as a priority. And it's the only gaming segment thing mentioned, really. And as I explained in my live stream, it also doesn't look like anything is coming out by Kadokawa Games or Chunsoft coming up. And if all those companies are having a low year and really Elden Ring is the only thing coming out, that might be the only thing like really making an impact on the games segment as far as profits go in the next year. So there's really too many variables at play to necessarily pin this all on Elden Ring. And looking at the other way, because there was a slide about Elden Ring, because they talk about, because there's a slide about Elden Ring for this fiscal, 20 fiscal year report, would indicate that they're talking about the next year, but I don't think it's a shoo-in either. And I think it's important to just kind of look at the report and just say, I don't know, it doesn't really tell us. It doesn't really tell us definitively either way. And I think doom saying and getting all doom and gloom about it is not, it's not going to do anything for you. And it's not going to tell us either way. I don't even think that Bandai Namco's report coming out on May 11th is going to tell us a whole lot. There's always a chance that there's a little nugget in there, but they know these things are public too, and they want to reassure investors, but they're also not going to like just put out a huge flag that says here's what's happening. If it was that much of a concern and it was that obvious, Bandai Namco might say something. I say might because who knows, but I just think let's all chill out. And I don't think this report says anything definitive either way. And we'll just see. In my mind, if we don't see anything by E3, that's very possible. But let's just wait 6 weeks and we'll find out. If we get information, then hopefully that we'll know exactly when it will release. And if we don't get information, then just go play some other games. Go do something else. That's probably what I'm going to do. Because we can't just wait forever. And I think, let's just wait for E3 though. 6 more weeks. 6 more weeks. Let's see what happens. I am hopeful that we're going to see something, and none of this stuff deters me. So take for that what you will, but I don't think there's any reason to say this is a nail in the coffin. I don't think it's anything positive or negative. It's just a financial report. So we have that, and then we got 6 seconds of leaked footage as the other thing to talk about that came out Friday night, like right after my live stream. And people really wanted to know all the secrets I uncovered from this, and I can tell you pretty confidently I didn't get that many secrets out of this. But I will bring it up because there's a few things we could talk about. So let's just watch through it. It's 6 seconds. Yeah, so there we go. It's got this really quiet audio. It's basically like, sounds like birds. It's probably background noise. So what do we see here in this 6 seconds of leaked footage that is probably legit, but nothing has been confirmed to like definitely confirm it is real. But Mordecai does mention in his video, I believe it was on Saturday, that it's a similar resolution the raw footage is. It's got this similar watermark for the confidential Bandai Namco Europe, whatever, internal use biz sessions. And I agree with Mordecai that it probably, this footage, even though it seems like it was like recorded at a different time, and Mordecai indicates that, but it's got a slightly different version of the video player, but that the actual footage itself is probably, is probably captured at the same time as the other stuff, probably like late 2019, sort of stuff. So there you have it. And in this first shot, it looks to be like a church or something. And I meant to bring up an image, but I think I can probably explain for a lot of us now. I think this is probably like a church, and you can tell like these are sort of like pews, and I think it is a cruciform church. And for a cruciform church, the main body is the nave, and then the smaller cross section here is a transept. And I think this image may be in one of the transepts. And I say that because generally for a church, the nave especially has a lot of windows, Gothic architecture in particular, architecturally and structurally allowed for larger fenestration or openings. So that's something that you would normally see. They're pretty bright, those churches. and it appears like it is not nighttime, so we would see more light coming in, but the transepts tend to not have as many openings, and part of that is because the vertical circulation tends to be along the exterior walls of the transepts. I looked at a few cruciform church plans, and they just tend to have less openings, so that's why I think this could potentially be in the transept of a church or a religious place. And then continuing onward, up here at the top, you see a broken column. You can sort of tell because you can see the fluting in the silhouette as it moves across the screen. And then we are looking up towards what appears to be a vaulted dome, and it seems to be relatively in line with churches. Now, Mordecai, for instance, makes reference that it could be related to the church, where we see that one like on Myoji person, or it could be in the B-roll footage where they're opening a door and then we see them walking across the rafters. I don't think there's enough context to necessarily say. I think those two places look like cathedrals and stuff, so it makes sense if it was one of those places. But I don't know. I don't think we have enough context to know for sure. And if it's a big world, there's probably multiple church type structures. So I don't know that it really matters anyways, but there you have that. So we'll watch it move across. Obviously this place is in disrepair. You can sort of see there appears to be a tree or some sort of growth coming out on the second level there, not entirely sure. And then obviously, as I mentioned, the column is broken from the bottom, and we sort of, as the camera pans, you can see that it is a detached column. And then the video starts over because it's 6 seconds. But that is really all I have here. It's some more Gothic architecture, some chandeliers. I don't know much. These statues to me kind of look like executioners from Bloodborne. I don't really know. The video quality is quite poor. So there's not much to glean, to be honest. And at this point, I'm just kind of looking for the real deal. I like getting this insight into From's development process, especially when we can look back and see maybe where things were cut or how they progressed after this snapshot point. But this 6 seconds doesn't really add much to the conversation of what we've already seen. It is interior shots. I'm more interested in the open world. So, there's no player character here. These appear to be statues, not enemies. So we're getting a little atmosphere, which seems like it's in line with that sort of B-roll footage. But other than that, I don't have too much to say there. I don't think there's really going to be anything massive pulled out of this particular clip, and I just hope that in the next 6 weeks we get the real deal. We get to see 2021 Elden Ring footage and more information about the world and the mechanics, and start to get a real sense of it, because even after seeing all this leaked footage, it's still wide open in my mind as far as understanding what this game's about, how it's going to play. I think we know that moment to moment it'll probably feel like Dark Souls with the combat, but the thing is then you also have the open world. Where are you going? What are you doing? What are you doing in the open world spaces? Those are more interesting questions to me than looking at a church, honestly. Until I have context for this church, and then I will spend an hour talking about the worshippers and their culture, but we don't have that context yet. As much as I enjoy architecture, there isn't even much architecture here. There's mostly darkness and knocked over pews. So, but there you have it. I hope you enjoyed these clarifications. It was a busy weekend. We will see what May brings ahead. I am hopeful that by E3, if not E3 itself, we have more to talk about. But until then, we'll continue with the Elden Wait, and I will keep you informed. I appreciate everyone who DM'd me and tagged me and messaged me asking about these two topics this weekend. I appreciate being a source for information because I hope and like to think that I provide well researched and level headed views on these things. So I'm happy to do it. And I will continue to do it. And I will see you for the next Elden Wait.